All of the night on the breeze, 93.9. Good morning. Let's get right into it as we got a jam-packed 59 minutes of multimedia broadcast extravaganza for you guys. At 9 o'clock, we're starting our candidate interviews. Today, we'll kick it off with Senator Therese Terlahi. We've also got Senator Jim Moylan, Senator Clinton Rigel, and candidate. He goes by the informant. Dominic,
Why?
I will ask him.
Maybe I thought you knew.
No, I don't. I mean,
well
obviously,
where'd you get that from?
It's from his Facebook.
Campaign?
He's got it on his Facebook page. Right. So we'll do that. But let's do this first. We'll bring on the. We'll start off with the Republican Party chair, former Senator Tony Atta, and you guys had come out with a release, something that we've been talking about since before we ended containing COVID. Senator, are you there? Good morning. He's going to have to unmute, right? So anyway, a Republican Party of Guam came out with a release, basically, Bree, that release.
Right, stating, talking about Governor Lilian Guerrero, that she needs to end the facade that the financial state of our government is great. Maybe she believes that by displaying this frontage, at least until the general election, it would provide the voters some confidence in maintaining a Democratic majority for the 36th Guam legislature. The reality is that the best policy is one that includes honesty, and the truth of the matter is that it will take our tourism industry at least a year or two before our island experiences reasonable arrival numbers. Now, Carlo Branch, who again, he is the governor's policy director, he responded saying Eddie Calvo's Republican Party took 5 paragraphs to say what it could have said in a single sentence. A vote for his Republicans is a vote for furloughs and layoffs. Branch adding 8 years of Calvo Republican leadership at Adelup saw our long-term debt balloon, child support funds stolen, and federally protected E911 funds raided to pay for government mismanagement and illegal retroactive pay raises. I mean, I could go on.
Yeah, no, it's got a strong finish, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now the same party that exploded our debt, grew our deficit, and left us without a basic safety net for the unemployed says it deserves another turn behind the wheel. Problem is, we should never forget all the time they've spent driving us off the cliff.
Ooh. Well, Senator, that was just classic right there. I guess we'll get your reaction to that response, and then we'll bring on the Carlo and let you guys kind of go at it. But what did you make of that response? Did you feel, Senator, that it addressed the concerns raised in your party's press release?
Hi, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Bree. Good morning, Carlo. Yeah. You know, I think they missed they're missing the point completely. We're here today and now, and there's a pandemic before us, and the financial state of our government is not stable. I think that's where they need to understand, right, is what are we doing for our people, and more importantly, what are we doing for our economy to grow again? You know, I think they need to come out and just tell us that the state of our government is you know, we're going through a pandemic, and you know, we need to come together and ensure that everything that we do is for the betterment of our people on our island, instead of saying that we are financially stable and everything is good to go. I mean, when you take away the almost $1 billion in federal assistance in these past couple of months, our government has done nothing for our people. They have done nothing for the business sector. So, and the business sector is what drives our economy and taxes into our government so that they can enjoy and do what they think, you know, is right to ensure that they continue operating. So, you know, for Carlo to go back and say that, you know, 8 years of the Calvo administration, we're not there. We're here today. And I think we need to address what is of concern today, and that's the people and the financial state of our government.
All right, Carlo. Who's unmuting Carlo? Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, jump on, Carlo.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Bree. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. On the line, guys, in case you've been living in Yokoi's cave, we have former Senator Tony Atta, who's the Republican Party chair, and the Adelup policy director, Carlo Branch. So go ahead, Carlo, and if you wanted to respond to Tony's comment.
Good morning. Yeah, 2 points, and I'll respond to the good senator, and he and I are good friends, so I'm sure this will be cordial. But I'll make 2 points. The first point is rhetorical, and the second point is mathematical. The first point is this: I find it interesting that a party that spent 8 years messing up the House is wondering why the ladies who are forced to clean it are taking so long. But the second point I would make is this: the Republicans have made a point to say that the state of government finances is unstable or a wreck. And I think instead of taking my word for it or Tony's word for it, we should just use basic math. And the Consolidated Revenue and Expenditure Report, which Tony is familiar with, makes these facts very clear. It says we have a $45 million thereabouts shortfall in actual revenue. What it also says, which the Republican Party continually leaves out, is that $39.6 million of this shortfall is due to the fact that the filing date for taxes was moved from April 15th to July 15th. And depending on July 15th collections, that shortfall could be way less, maybe to the tune of $8 million as opposed to 45. But that is a convenient fact of basic math, which Republicans choose to leave out in order to create a sky is falling scenario. And I know this because I know that the senator is pretty good at math, because we sat together during numerous budget sessions in which we said, you have to read the CRER holistically. And if they did that, they'd realize that the shortfall is not anticipated in any way to be $45.9 million. The third point I'd make is that Republicans continually talk about cost cutting and streamlining. What they really mean is furloughs and firings. They just never want to say it. I know that this is true because in the last administration, Eddie Calvo said to everyone on island, if we did not raise the BPT by 1%, we'd have to fire 2,000 to 3,000 people. And now it seems that his party has changed tune and somehow forgotten that math.
You guys don't have to be cordial. I just want to say, I mean, I'd prefer it if you weren't.
So I guess the point that I'd make to the good senator, and I'll let him respond, is if you want to cut, how much and who? If not, you're just talking about cutting for the purposes of an election, and I think we've had enough of that.
Yeah, thank you, Carlo. Anyway, Chris, going back to Carlo's shortfall on 40 to 8 million, whatever they want to call it. I mean, if we collected our taxes back in April when we should have, and take it, the government shut down a couple of days just before the April 15th deadline of filing taxes. Now, if they just held off in shutting down the government until April 15th or April 16th, then probably they could have realized those revenues and not waited till July 15th to collect. Now, if they think they're going to collect revenues as they did had the filing date been April 15th, they're truly mistaken, because a lot of people, not just individual taxpayers, but corporate taxpayers, are not in that same financial state they were 2 months ago. And having it at July 15th now, I think that it's not realistic that they're going to make up that revenue shortfall to come down to about $8 million. And not only that, but when you look at how they took BPT and you only paid a portion of BPT for several months, that there is also a shortfall. So, I mean, yes, it was something.
I want to point out an irony, with all due respect, Senator, which is that the Chambers of Commerce and the Republican Party, both of which supported an abeyance on BPT, is now saying the abeyance in BPT is causing the shortfall they're complaining about.
No, I'm not saying I'm not complaining. What I'm saying is that's going to be a part of the issue, right? Because you haven't turned around and collected those revenues. So yes,
but no, it is not. An abeyance does not mean that you did not collect the revenues. It just means that you delayed collections. So those are factually two different things.
Yeah, you delay collections, but what is the realistic? How realistic is it going to be to get those revenues now, right? I mean,
sure, but how realistic is it?
You just said it.
To completely buy your argument, we would have to forget that we are on the brink of receiving $1 billion in unemployment and close to another $500 million in federal aid. And that is supposed to magically have no effect on the economy whatsoever.
Well, have you seen any?
I think at this point, what we have to do is actually judge the math. And no one is in a position to fully judge the shortfall until they have a baseline for July 15th collections. I also know this to be true because despite the Republican Party's constant conjecture about we need a new budget, not one of your senators has proposed a counter budget of its own. So you're a lot like the guy who complains about the fire but won't grab the hose.
You know, half the time they can't even get a bill on the session floor because the
I seem to remember in the very last two sessions, Jim Boylan getting the PPT on the floor.
But when you go back,
Senator Boylan, I seem to remember Senator Boylan getting the PPT repeal on the floor, being ready to debate it, and having him withdraw it because he wasn't ready.
You know, we can keep going back, but we're talking about today, Carlo. Today, I'm sorry to judge the future by your past record, but that's all human beings can do. Well, you know what? We'll be judging the future on this administration's record when 2021 revenues come up and there's no collections. I mean, our economy is dead.
Okay, Senator, let's try this. What would you like revenue collections to be?
Have you been down?
What would you like revenue projections to be? Let's move it to a effective policy discussion. What would you like revenue projections to be, and how much would you like to spend?
Well, you know what? Let me go down to Adelup and see what we got on our collections and our expenditures, and then I can come up probably with
You're reading the same TRER that we are.
You know? So what I'm saying,
you want to campaign about finances, but you don't want to present a plan of your own.
No, I'm not campaigning on finances, you know?
That's what you're really about.
People that are hurting.
A point of personal privilege. Point of personal privilege, Carlo. Carlo, can you just start with what is the state of our economy? He's saying our economy is dead.
Right, but Carlo, to play devil's advocate, I think what maybe people are thinking is, how could we have gone through this massive pandemic with these business closures and emerge with only an $8 million shortfall? I think that, if you could, just give us the status.
Sure. So, and I want to be clear so that we're all talking about the same thing. There's a difference sometimes between the state of a macro economy and the state of revenue collections. Though they are linked, they are not the same thing. So to answer Chris's question, the reality is that the consolidated revenue and expenditure report, which the Republicans are using to claim there is a shortfall, is based on what we are actually collecting. So actual collections to this date would project that we have a $45.6 million shortfall. That is true. What it does not include, because that report has not come out yet, is collections for July 15th. So you do not know the depth of a shortfall. Now, do I reasonably think that there probably will be one? Yes, but we are talking about, in terms of an economy, a matter of degrees. If a big budget is off by 3% or 0.5%, or 30%, that's a huge difference. And so what we are talking about is the state of the government's budget versus the state of the economy. I think everyone who looks at it reasonably would argue that the economy is in serious need of stimulus, which is why there's $1 billion in unemployment aid and potentially another $500 million in federal aid throughout every industry in the economy. I think it's also incorrect for the senator to note that the Democratic majority has done nothing for small businesses. In the last legislature alone, they have cut tax. Republicans have done in the 6 minorities they've had in 12 years.
You know, Carlo, I'm glad that you brought up about our economy, right? But when you look at all the finances that are going on in our government, I mean, just maybe about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I looked at how tax refunds have been being paid out. When you look at today, tax refunds is only up to July 31st. The 6-month mark is coming up in about 3-4 days. So, you know.
Actually, Senator, that would be incorrect. The 6-month mark moves because the July 15th deadline is the new tax deadline for filing.
Yeah, but the filers that filed for their income tax refunds in
January. It is within 6 months of the date of required filing.
What, Carlo? Where is the government at in paying our tax refunds? Where is the government at in insurance?
You're absolutely right, Senator. We need to move faster. That is why Democrats like me were frustrated by the fact that Eddie Calvo took a $118 million surplus in 2013 and built it back to a $180 million deficit by the time he left. So how can you complain about the size of the hole, but ignore the fact that you helped dig it?
Carlo, we're not talking about 2 years ago. We're talking about today. This administration's
as a result of the deficit we have, we cannot pay refunds as quickly as we would like. But we didn't create the deficit, did we?
Carlo, when you look at the state of our government today, this administration has been in power for 2 years.
Yes,
they
and how did
increase employment?
Did we walk in with a surplus?
And when the pandemic hit, what did they do? They turned around and they left the people hanging. They didn't do anything in the onset of this pandemic for our people who were crying for help, who needed help. The only time they turned around and did anything for our people is when the federal government put funds into our island.
No, let us be absolutely clear about what we did or didn't do. While Republican senators were generally silent, this governor led us through a pandemic, which by comparison to other states and territories has resulted in some of the least health damage directly to our people. That is a statistical fact. The reality is that as a result of Republican leadership, we had a deficit so large you couldn't create programs like unemployment. I also know that your party has repeatedly opposed unemployment insurance programs on Guam because I wrote one of the bills you opposed.
You know, okay, this administration has been in power for 2 years. Where has the legislature, the Democrat majority, with a Democrat governor, put our people with unemployment insurance? Nowhere. Let's not talk about Republicans' unemployment. This administration had 2 years to do what they needed to do for unemployment, and they did nothing. Zero.
Okay, Senator, so let's do this. You might get elected in January, so let's have some progress. If you get elected in January and this governor proposes an unemployment insurance bill, will you co-sponsor it?
Carlo, I'm not here to talk about my election.
Let's talk about the truth. Let's move into policy. Do you actually want to make change, or do you want to talk about it?
No, hey, you know what? You talk about big change. We all talk about big change, but the administration...
Come on, Senator, let's have your commitment. In January, should you be elected, you will work with this administration
2 years ago.
Finally get unemployment insurance on Guam. Come on, let's do that.
You guys had the administration, the Democrat majority, the majority in the mayor's council, and Congress. But you guys haven't done anything for the people. This pandemic.
Sure, Senator, okay, fine. So let's move forward and let's do it for the people. Come on, Senator, you and us, let's work on unemployment insurance together. Or say no.
Definitely, we can move forward for our people. But you know what?
So we have your commitment. You will support unemployment insurance on Guam as a local program.
We're not talking about that. You're talking about January.
Yes or no? I'm just trying to figure out where your party stands on the things it's complaining that we didn't do fast enough.
I'm talking about where we're at today with our economy, Carlo. Look at all the jobs. Have you been to Tuman?
And if we had unemployment insurance programs before this, we wouldn't have seen this steep a drop.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do with this 25 to 30,000 unemployed people come December? What's the administration going to do?
You're absolutely right. We may need a local program. So my point is, will you help us with that? Will you and your party finally support unemployment insurance on Guam?
Why are you waiting until January? You got the majority. Do it today. Why are you waiting until January?
Is that your endorsement? The Republican Party says we should pass unemployment insurance today.
Why are you waiting till January? Do it today.
Tony, why are you dodging?
Can we get back to the budget?
Yeah, guys.
Can we get back to the budget and why hasn't?
I don't know how you challenge somebody about something and then say you don't want to do it yourself. But okay.
You see, Carlo, I can say anything, but like you said, if I get elected,
as the chairman of the Republican Party, I think that comes with some authority.
Well, you know what? You guys put it on the floor. You guys entertain it. Hey, and we work collectively with.
I just want to know, man to man, do you support it?
Right, for the best.
Ooh, man to man.
The interests of the people.
Man to man, do you support
Tony,
it?
man to man, Tony.
I'm a voter. Do you support it?
Do I support unemployment insurance?
Yes.
I
support a local program.
What I personally will support whatever it takes to ensure that our people are protected, and I've done it before in the past. I have crossed party lines. I have crossed party lines. I have crossed party lines many times to ensure that any legislation that is for the benefit of our people and the benefit of our island has always moved forward. I've never stood in the way. And just like today, when Congressman St. Nicholas turns around and asks for the party's help to ensure that we be able to get things that, is for the benefit of our island, hey, man, we'll go out there and we'll stock the grounds for it. But you know what? Today, Carlo, you guys, the Democrats in the legislature and the Democrat administration have an opportunity to take care of it today. Why are we going to wait for 6 months? Are we going to do like what we've done? Wait, Carlo, let me finish. Are we going to do like what we've done? Is let our people suffer for 4, 5, 6 months before they do anything about it? Or are we just going to wait for federal assistance continuously?
Senator, the only reason we don't have unemployment for the last 30 years is your party.
You keep talking about unemployment, but I'm talking about the state of our
How else do you expect the economy to collapse and people to still have jobs?
What was
That's
that?
how you lose 30,000 jobs and still have a safety net. It's called unemployment insurance for a reason. And if we had it in the 80s and the 90s, like when Senator Parkinson proposed it, we wouldn't be here now. Or in 2006 when Senator Barnes proposed it. But now the Republicans see the need for it, opposed it for generations, and now go, why don't you move faster?
Hey guys, so Carlo,
Point of personal privilege.
point of personal privilege, guys. Carlo, you said when the July 5th or the tax deadline, people file right the 15th. So are we going to see any type of last minute revised budget out of Adelup, or this is just what we're getting?
Sure. The governor said the revenue projections are constantly being analyzed, and we're working with the budget chairman right now to use the best data we can to revise where necessary if that is needed.
So we are going to see some type of revision in the budget proposal.
The legislature always revises the governor's budget, even in the best of times. I know because I was there when we did it 6 times. So the budget chairman is under an obligation by statute to pass it by the end of August. Right. I'm sure that he has revisions in place. The fiscal team is working with him now on those revisions. And there will be, obviously, amendments. No governor ever gets 100% of the budget they request.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Carlo,
do you anticipate, though, that included in this budget, there's going to be any sort of cost-cutting measures that are going to be necessary?
Well, I would assume that the appropriations chair is going to take a very strong look at revenue projections and expenses. I think what he will want to do is determine the types of cost cutting that are effective. So if the cost cutting that the Republican Party is calling for is mass, meaning 30, 40, 50 million dollars, then that will result in job losses. So instead of building a bigger lifeboat for the unemployed, we're just going to throw people over. If the issue is how do you cut costs by attrition, letting positions you don't need now go unfilled, then that is a clever way to cut costs. If there was a way to cut down on the long-term debt, which Senator Ada helped us get into, that would be another way to cut costs. But unfortunately, your grandchildren are going to be paying for that until they turn your age.
So Senator Ada, let's ask you this. So while we've got that budget down to the legislature, why aren't we seeing these types of measures that you're talking about being proposed by the senators in the minority? Or have we? Because I was on leave.
Math is hard.
Yeah, you know, we can. When, what was that, Carlo?
I know why you don't propose it. Math is hard.
You know, when Carlo spoke about looking at positions through attrition and things like that, you know, there was positions that were not even filled when the Calvo administration had left office, that the Leon Guerrero-Tenorio administration open.
Senator, if you'd like to look back, I can remind you about the $1 million in pay raises you gave to people that weren't even in the office.
Yeah, you know, Carlo, you look at the millions of dollars
back, right?
pay raises, and you know, so. But that's not what we're talking about, Carlo, and you know it. What we're talking.
You went back, no, I went back with you.
Well, you went back first, but that's okay.
Let's cha-cha. Let's go forward now.
Let's talk about our economy right now, and let's talk about how we're gonna, you know, move forward. Because, and Carlo, you know it as well as I do. The economy is not stable, man. It's truly not stable, and I'm not here to fight with the administration about, you know, what needs to be done. They know what needs to be done, right? But
that
what
really
I'm saying
sounded a lot like fighting with the administration. It didn't sound like how can we help. It sounded like let's pick a fight. So if the Tony Ada I know and love is now how can we help, then we can work together. If the Toniata as chairman of the Republican Party is shame on you, bad, 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 the Republican Party never did anything wrong, then that's not the Toniata I know and love, and it's certainly not the Toniata we all know and love. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out which Tony I'm talking to.
It's just one Tony, right? But what I'm saying is, Carla, just the administration just needs to be front with the people, right? Where are we at today? What is our collection looking at? So that, you know, we can give
we publish that report every month. It is the report you're using to criticize us. That report is published every month on the 20th.
I understand, but the people don't understand that, right? And what
so help me help them understand it. Because they certainly don't understand it when you misread the report to argue that there's a $50 million shortfall when there might only be 9.
Yeah. So when you turn around and you look at what people are doing today, right? We want to make sure that they're saving for the future, because we don't know what December, January, February next year is going to bring. We don't even know what the tax revenue collections for April 15 next year is going to bring. So all it's saying is, you know, let's just not put on the facade. Let's not, you know, say that everything is okay, because when all this federal monies go away, it's going to be left to the local government to help the people. And who's going to be in that local government to help the people? It's going to be the businesses. What are we doing today to help our businesses succeed and not close doors? What are we doing to help our businesses be able to re-employ those people that are unemployed so that they can get off unemployment and provide for the family?
So, and that's a fair point, and I'd like to respond to it clearly. The Democratic majority has, in the last term alone, cut taxes twice for small businesses. They've streamlined the way a person can get a small business license. They've automated certain services and revenue tax. I know you've seen those lines move quicker than ever before. So progress is not as quick as anyone would like it, certainly not in the middle of a pandemic, but it surely is it is not as if progress is non-existent. And so I think that when people like you and me have constructive dialogue about policy, we can move things forward. But that dialogue is certainly not helped by the Republican Party issuing releases like shame, 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 ignoring its prior culpability and how we got here in the first place.
But we're not looking at, we're not looking at the past, Carlo. We're looking at today, right? We're looking at this year, this pandemic. What are we doing?
Senator, I'm going to date your daughter, but forget the fact that I spent 20 years in jail. Because, you know, let's look at the future.
Yeah, you know, Carlo, that's all, you know, man, take the living of the people who don't have a paycheck seriously, man.
And yes, and so my point is, let's take it seriously by using facts and data. So what I'm looking for is the Republican solution to this question.
Using creative accounting, man. You guys are at the helm. Take the bull by the horn, man, and drive our economy forward. But
yes,
that's not what you got to do.
Your party is asking for the majority. So your party is asking for the majority, Senator. So my question to you is, you have a lot of criticism, but not a lot of ideas. What idea would you propose that we can work on together now, if you want, to re-employ 35,000 people magically? Because if you have an honest-to-goodness idea, we will sit down and work with you. But right now, it doesn't seem like you have one.
We have an honest-to-goodness idea. You're going to turn around and implement those ideas? Are you going to implement the ideas that we come up with?
To re-employ 35,000 people? Absolutely.
So then, okay.
If your idea does more good than harm, we will work with you. We have demonstrated an ability to sign Republican bills if they make sense, especially dollars and cents.
Let's turn around, take the BPT back down to 4%. You know what? You know how we can also help?
You argued 2 years ago that that would result in job losses, not job gains. You argued that to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know why? Because
it's different now.
Back then took a big hit on our local government funds.
And that's what it would do, because those tax cuts federally are still in place.
Man,
so
guys,
Tony added 2 years ago, come
point
to the
of personal
legislature and say, raise
point of personal privilege, gentlemen.
Say, cut taxes.
I need a gavel.
Yeah. Hey guys, sorry, we know we got Lieutenant Governor on the line, and I see we're starting to go back over some familiar ground that was already covered in this discussion. But you know what I really like here, guys, is we start and then after a lot of that barking and stuff, I'm starting to see you guys want to exchange ideas. So that's good. Obviously, you're both very passionate, but obviously you're coming from different sides of this. So I thought it was pretty entertaining.
I mean. You know, when you know, we can talk about cutting BPT down to 4%. We can turn around and say, you know what? You know who employs the largest of those unemployed workers right now, and that's the tourism industry. Let's take the hotel occupancy tax and cut that. Let's give these hotels an opportunity to get back on track, get these people back employed so that they can turn around and ensure that everyone has a livelihood. We're only looking at unemployed, the funding that these unemployed workers have from the unemployment fund. What we're not looking at, Carlo, is that their health insurance, their health care coverage, and how is our government going to be able to fund fund GMH even greater now?
Carlo, we're gonna give you the last word here, Carlo, to respond to Senator Ada's last comment there. Thank you, Senator. If you want to hang on till the end, that's cool. But we really got to wrap. So Carlo, go for it.
I want to thank Chris and Bree for giving us the opportunity, especially Senator Tony for being a good sport. I think we're just having a basic disagreement about math. Tony Ada, who worked for Eddie Calvo 2 years ago, said if you cut the BPT by 1% and go down to 4%, 2,000 people will be laid off. Now, I don't know of a worse way to make unemployment bad than to make more people unemployed. And I don't know of a way to keep people in health insurance like MIP and Medicaid if you cut tax revenues in the form of BPT. So I think it's clear, unfortunately, that if the Republicans get the majority, what they want is to reduce taxes to such a level that 2,000 to 3,000 public sector employees doing a damn good job would lose their jobs. And I think that's wrong, and I think it's the wrong way to do business.
All right. Well, thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Carlo.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Carlo.
Senator.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay. Thank you, Carlo.
Okay, good talk, guys. Right on. Hug and shake hands. 8:33. I'm just sorry, bro. That's it. Good morning. Hey, it's the link on Breeze 93.9. Do you want to just go ahead and get Lieutenant Governor?
Yeah, let's go
Josh?
straight to Lieutenant Governor.
Is he ready?